Yes, welcome everyone. It is that time. What time is it, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked because it's a very important question to answer right now. If you're watching live, that means it's Wednesday at noon Eastern time, which of course is and has been for over the last 7 years the time for the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, you can find us in many places on the old video. Of course, if you're on YouTube, you want the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, you want the Hemptations Beach page. If you're on X or Twitter or whatever it is you call it, you're going to go follow at Hemptations. Of course, I'm Stoner Jesus. I do various things on the interwebs that you can search out if you so feel like it. He is Beach. He loves hemp. He's from the new Hemptations location. Of course, we'll hear all about it coming up. How are things this week in the world of Hemptations, Beach?
They are good, I suppose. Pretty status quo. A lot of always stuff going on, of course. So we will definitely get to that in the news. I have to look into this new bill in Ohio that's going to be messing with some hemp. And so I'll check into that a little bit and see what's going on. But I can tell you, if you're in Ohio, call your representatives and all those people and just tell them they don't need to mess with hemp. Now, if this is an age restriction thing, everybody's doing that. Not so bad. They tried a ban, and that just failed miserably. And so, uh, it's we'll see what's going on with that. All right, Stoner, you know what today is? You know what today is?
I have a feeling that you're getting ready to very abruptly and loudly tell me what day it is. What day is it, Beach?
Hemp Day! Welcome, everybody, to the High Noon Hemp Show. It's Wednesday. It's high noon. It's Hemp Day! And we love all of you. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Meow. Remember, the FDA has not evaluated this show or meows for safety or efficacy. That being said, let's go ahead and put our peace signs on our chests. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted, one seed under the sun, with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. It's the goal. It's going on. That's hemp. All right, well, let's jump right into it. As promised, I'm going to end the news segment with as much knowledge that I have on hempcrete. We will get to that. I promised it last week, and I'm going to hold up to that. So let's get to it. Let's get to the product spotlight. Peace. 4 from the store, 1 from my door, and sometimes more. The first one here. New arrivals. So we have 5 of these drinks are 25 milligrams of THC, industrial hemp, legally extracted from industrial hemp. There's a cherry cola, which is actually caffeinated. And then we've got like blueberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade. There's an orange. And the coolest thing is they're like tiger and gator oriented, but the orange has the tiger on it, and it's a Bengal tiger, and it's orange. So it's like everybody needs to get these for their Bengals games on Sunday. And after last week's game, again, apparently we're probably going to need as much THC as we can to get through this season, like most. But it's still early, and we're 1-0 for the first time in a long time. So anyway, now. The 2 tall cans on each side there, for the record, are 50 milligrams. 50 milligrams. If you can't do with 50 milligrams, wow. And those are lemonade, and I'm already forgetting cherry. What is it? Oh, root beer. Is it root beer?
Fruit punch.
Fruit punch. That's right. We do have a root beer in the
Root beer right here, yep.
25 milligrams as well. So there you have it. The THC drinks are the most popular drinks out there right now. So get into Hemptations inside the Flower Factory and get you some.
Right.
And here you can make any drink a THC drink with the Hemptations brand THC, Delta 8, Delta 9, I mean. And so this is Delta 9 in hemp oil. Now, most of my posts that I just posted, I actually posted a picture of what hemp oil on top of coffee looks like in the right sun, and it's very trippy. And that's on all the pages, Instagram, X. I think I posted that picture everywhere, and that's because the Delta 9 and the hemp oil are fat soluble. And so, it kind of sits, if you put it in there and you kind of stir it in, then you should be good. It emulsifies a little bit. But you can, add as much THC to any drink that you want if you so desire, or you can just put it right under your tongue and feel the effects immediately. That's Hemptations brand Delta 9 THC tincture. And then how about a Hemptations hat? Do you need a Hemptations hat? Everybody needs a Hemptations hat. We have a huge selection of hemp hats. And there's probably a good 10 of them that say Hemptations on them. This is just half the hat rack, so these are like a lot of the Hemptations hats, and then some of the peace leaf, which we have the hemp peace leaf, I should say, the hemp peace leaf. Many different colors with that one as well. So get yourself a hat if you need one. And the last one is the raw tips. This is one of our most popular raw products between the pre-rolls and the tips. People really love them. So if you're a person that loves your tips, come on in and get some at the old Hemptations. I do have some beanies somewhere. I need to unpack the winter wear as I get closer to winter. I don't have a whole lot of beanies, but trust me, if you keep watching the show, as soon as I find the beanies, I'll let everybody know with a good picture of them, and we'll see when it comes to that. So the last one, which is from my door, that was 4 from the store. The one from my door, we're going to play a little trivia. All right. What is this? What is this hemp bag made by Hempstead? One clue is it's probably 20 years old and before MP3. Well, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. And so once again, 20 years old, close to probably to the pre MP3 or digital music scene. Da 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 da. Put your guesses in. Put your guesses in. All right, here it is. It's a CD case. That's right. At one point or another, we actually put these round discs into machines, and we played them. Hey. Now, of course, I still do that. That's why I have this. I've got a 6-disc changer in the old Pilot. And so I've been carrying some CDs around and listening to them old school style.
That's right.
So there you have it. Hemp CD case made by Hempstead, one of the original bag makers back in the day.
There you go.
All right.
So
Now,
of course, brings us to the greatest segment in internet history. Yes, I said it. You're saying, Jesus, that sounds like hyperbole. That sounds like too much. No, it's not. You haven't been paying attention. This is the greatest segment ever. It's the beachwear segment. And of course, we have started a tradition here a little while back because the Guinness World Records is blatantly, maybe even say rudely, ignoring all of the hemp records that Beach has set and currently holds, whether it's products, clothing, whatever. I may have found out a little bit more about that today when we talk about what the Guinness World Records has going on before we get to the beachwear segment, before we continue to chronicle Beach's record-setting efforts and activities. So we like to go to the Guinness World Records and see what they're talking about on X. And today they're actually talking about a plant. Now, of course, not a hemp plant. God forbid They talk about a hemp plant. It is the tallest sunflower. It's as high as a 3-story house, topples a decade-old record. It's officially 35 feet, 9 inches. How you get a sunflower to be almost 36 feet, I have no idea. I didn't read
That's a good about 12 feet taller than the tallest hemp plant on record.
It's crazy. Which, and Beach didn't know this because I didn't run it by him before, but that leads us to the next thing I want to talk about, because apparently Zamnesia.com keeps track of cannabis records. They say in this little article that I read that Guinness has some sort of policy against either cannabis or tobacco records, and that's why they avoid them. But Zamnesia says on September 10th, 2021, which is 4 years from today, believe it or not, Technical Wonder was unveiled at Hemp Traders Farm in California. It reached a staggering 24 feet 1 inch. It was officially confirmed by the County Department of Agriculture, cementing its status as a world record. However, despite initial acknowledgement, the Guinness World Records ultimately declined to accept the submission, citing their policy regarding tobacco and cannabis-related records. But
And that was on the show. We did show that when that record was set back in the day.
4 years ago today.
4 years ago today. 24 feet. That's what I knew. 24. That's my number.
So maybe Guinness will never, ever care. But that's fine, because we care. We've been doing this for over 7 years. We'll do another 7 years, another 14 years, however long it takes. Because we're talking about hemp, and it's important, and we're bringing the information to you. The infotainment, if you will. Which brings us, of course, to the hempware segment, the beachwear segment, rather, which is hempware. I'll wait and show the other picture of the CD case. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, my bad. There it is. See?
Pretend we're still back there.
I wasn't lying. It has CDs in it.
Okay. Now, the beachwear segment. Mariah's Beach, a very important question. And again, as I've said many, many times, if you see Beach on the street, you can ask him this question, and he will give you your very own beachwear segment right there in the middle of the grocery store, on the street, wherever. He'll tell you exactly what he's wearing and all of the hemp. All I have to do is say, or ask rather, what are you wearing, Beach?
It's true. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you will know on this fine high noon hemp show Wednesday. In honor of the passing of Giorgio Armani, my hat is an Armani jeans hat.
Nice.
For the record. So we're celebrating Armani's life. Armani had everything hemp clothing wise up to a when I checked on it last, and this has been years and years ago, a $5,000 hemp tuxedo that you could get from Armani. The hemp tuxedo was an option from Armani for a long time. I would only assume that it still is. The Italians grow the finest hemp in the world when it comes to material, fiber-wise. The hat is from a line that was called Armani Jeans. Blue Armani Hemp. Gosh dang it! Now I got to look at it. So it's Armani Jeans Blue Hemp. That was the line, and they did make jeans that match the hat, and they may have even had shirts. I don't remember. I might have to go back and look on that. But Armani's been using hemp in their clothing, or at least a line of their clothing, for a long, long time. My shirt, I've been talking about this a little bit with the head case stuff. My shirt is, in fact, one of those head case Hemptations tees I was talking about. And the cool things about the shirt, and of course, I'll just go ahead and mention them, my boxers over there are also head case. Both the shirt and the boxers have a secret pocket in the tag. It's about this big. It's probably about 2.5 inches wide, maybe 1.5 inches deep. A little secret pocket where you can hide your hideables if you want to. That was always something neat about the head case clothing. And then so I believe some of the hats, I don't know if it was them or not, that had the secret pockets in the hats eventually as well. So I've got crop circle shorts. Crop circle shorts. Those are old school as well. And then of course in the pocket there, it's my Green Springs Technology pen. That's one of my 3D printed, I believe. And then of course the head case boxers. I was talking about the socks. Ironically, or I don't know if it's ironic or not, those were made by hemp traders. The tallest hemp plant that you just saw
Right.
was grown by hemp traders. That's Lawrence Serban. And so once again, they were in business when we started. And huge, if you need hemp material, they are one of the best sources in the United States. Between them and Enviro Textiles, that's where you want to source your hemp material at this point. And then the shoes are a pair of iPath. I call them boat shoes, but they were skate shoes. They look like boat shoes, but just about all the shoes that iPath made were technically skate shoes, as they were a skate shoe company. So there you have it. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know on the High Noon Hemp Show.
That's right.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show this. I'm calling this one a video. It's not even a commercial. This is a video for the Flower Factory, which has Hemptations inside. So here we go, and we'll be back with the news.
The name of this song is The Wildwood Flower. Now, the Wildwood Flower is an old country classic. It's gained a whole new popularity. The song isn't any more popular, but the flower's doing real good. Now, the wildwood flower grew wild on the farm, and we never knowed what it was called. Some said it's a flower, and some said it's a weed. I didn't give it much thought. One day I was out there talking to my brother, and I reached down for a weed to chew on, and things got fuzzy and things got blurry, and then everything was gone. I didn't know what happened, but I knew it beat the hell out of sniffing burlap. I come to and my brother was there, and he said, "What's wrong with your eyes?" And I said, "I don't know, I was chewing on a weed." And he said, "Let me give it a try." I spent the rest of that day and most of that night trying to find my brother Big. Caught up with him about 6 o'clock the next morning, naked, singing on the windmill. He says he flew up there, and I had to fly up and pull him down. He was about half crazy. The very next day we picked a bunch of them weeds and we put them in the sun to dry. And then we mashed them up after we cleaned them off, and we put them in the corncob pipe. Smoking them wildwood flowers got to be a habit, but we never seed the harm. We thought it was kinda handy to take a trip and never leave the barn. Big old puff of that wildwood weed, next thing you know, you're just wandering around behind the little animals. All good things must come to an end. That's the same with the wildwood weed. One day this feller from Washington come by and spied him and turned white as a sheet.
What a great song. You're muted, Beach.
Dang it. There we go. Yes, great song. Classic pro cannabis song. Get on into the Flower Factory with Hemptations inside. Get all your hemp needs and growing supplies that you will ever need. Legal. We can talk about growing cannabis legally because it's legal in the state of Ohio.
Indeed.
All right. Well, let's get started with so this is some families in Cork, which I believe Cork is in the UK somewhere. And what's going on now? If you live anywhere around Cork, you can get some of these free reusable nappies. All right. That's also what we call a diaper. It's called a nappy over there. So if you need some nappies over there, And this is a free. Once again, you can apply, get your free starter kit. And the inserts are made from bamboo, cotton, and hemp. And of course, you can find these on eBay. This is a very popular reusable diaper idea. It's been around for a long time. Of course, the reusable fabric material diapers has been around for a while, but hemp as the material or part of the material, again, is kind of a no-brainer for its durability, for the fact that hemp material is antimicrobial, antibacterial, all of these things that you want your children and yourself, honestly, to be protected by with the clothing you wear. You know, I wish that said that was organic cotton, because, you know, the fact that hemp requires no herbicides or pesticides is kind of negated by the fact that cotton uses the most amount of herbicides and pesticides of any agricultural crop on the planet. And so, unless it's organic cotton, you should not be wearing that either, to be honest with you. And the amount of water alone that it takes to make cotton into a wearable material is absolutely insane. It's insane. And you can grow three times more hemp on an acre of land than you can cotton, compared to cotton. Ay. Strongest natural fiber on the planet, if you didn't know. And so here's another great use for the fiber. These are Rothy's, and they're hemp and recycled plastic bottles material, I guess. And they're clogs, as you can see, and they are on sale. So I think you can go to Rothy's, ROTHY apostrophe S. Just, type that in, hemp maybe. And then the cool thing about these is they're machine washable. They're like, get them muddy, get dirty. Go ahead, throw them in the washing machine. And a lot of, I don't know why most shoes, honestly. And again, of course, you wash a pair of leather shoes, and that's just a ridiculous idea. And I think the reason that I probably wouldn't throw a lot of my hemp in the washer would only be because of the glues and the things that kind of hold them together. Because again, it would clean the material real well. But I don't. I feel like some of my hemp shoes I feel like I would run through the washer and not have a problem with. But anyway, I think machine washable shoes is kind of genius. And hemp makes a great material for a machine washable shoe. It's true. Well, Texas tried another ban. Now they've passed an executive order, but it's just for age restrictions. Which again, I understand. I can get behind that. Distance from schools. So now you can't be a close distance to a school. That it does. And then you got labeling and testing that's going to be on there. But I think the biggest one, and this is, so they went from trying to ban it to realizing how much money is in the industry in Texas. So what are they going to add with this executive order? Oh, extra fees if you want to sell industrial hemp, ingestible edibles, ingestible products, so to speak. I think that's what most of this is carrying. This is the industrial hemp THC and THCA and Delta 8 and all those things. I believe they were going to try to ban it, and when they tried to ban it, they realized, again, 9,000 or so stores would have had to have closed. So they were smart to say, well, let's not ban it, but let's make them pay extra to sell it.
Yeah.
And so, but it's better than a ban. And, it's still just a bunch of stuff that, now you're going to have the products tested. So does that mean, like, all right, you own a retail shop. You order some products from a place in California. You get them in. you have to have those tested yourself, or do those have to have been tested? And what are they testing for? I mean, I get the labeling. Yes, I want to know what's in my product. I want everything on the label. So I have no problem with labeling laws. Um, the fact that it's law that you have to put the ingredients of a food on there is a good thing. All right. Um, the fact that all ingredients should be listed is a good thing. But I'm not sure that I understand the testing part. I don't know what they're testing for, or what that means. So that one might turn out to be kind of interesting. We'll see how that turns out. Missouri is looking to regulate hemp products like alcohol. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Back to Texas. I skipped something there. So I believe I reported on this raid that happened in Abilene, Texas, and it was at least $500,000 worth of product. Okay, the city of Abilene is currently being sued, and I can guarantee you that they are going to probably lose the suit because they seized these products under the marijuana laws, and these products were hemp, no matter what it was. It was hemp. And so I think they're gonna find that the prosecuting attorney or the district attorney in Abilene has made a futile mistake that a lot of district attorneys make, all the way up to the state level sometimes. And that is that because these products have THC in them, they're illegal. And even because possibly they have more than 0.3% THC in them. So if you sell gummies, as we do, that have 10 milligrams of, and even if the 10 milligrams is again, it's not the 0.3% is by dry weight on the flower, and you test before you harvest. And then if you come up too high, you have a chance to test again after harvest. But if you don't reach that 0.3% on that flower, then it has to be destroyed. But if you do get that 0.3% or less, then everything you make from that is 100% legal, including putting the THC. Our carts have 99.9% or whatever. They have a little bit of a base of something else, but it's pretty much it would be definitely over the 0.3%. And that's what confuses people. People think that 0.3% is the end product. It's not. It's the field product. It's the farming product. It's the pre-harvest and then possibly right after harvest. And then they're done. You can do whatever you want with all of that. Put it in whatever you want to. And so Abilene's going to be in trouble. I should have been watching the High News Hemp Show because I've reported on this many times. And I would have to say that almost every time, at least 9 out of 10 times, the defendants win. So good for them. Okay, we'll go back to Missouri. Missouri is now looking to regulate hemp products like alcohol. And of course, St. Louis County is trying to ban derivatives. And again, what's funny about all of this is being driven for the most part by either the alcohol industry or the marijuana industry. and so it's so ridiculous. All right, you cannot regulate cannabis like alcohol. They're 100% different, for one thing. All right, and again, here's the thing. Well, you can't treat it. Okay, if you're going to do that, then how can you test for highness? You can't. There's no way to take any test, roadside, anywhere, that can give any definitive number on how high someone is. That being said, we have proven, the United States government did this back in the 50s, tested this, and there have been proof since that there's no intoxicating level of cannabis use that prohibits you from driving a motor vehicle safely. There is none. I mean, if you were to get a HUI, high under, or not, DUH, driving under highness ticket, I mean, the first thing I would do is walk into court and I'd say, where is the evidence that driving high in any way is unsafe? Because there is none. There is none. And before, what they would do is they would get you to admit that you had smoked and then just say, oh, well, that's driving under the influence. You're under the influence of the marijuana. And so now we gotta give you a DUI for that. And once again, once you've admitted that you were driving under it, but even then, it's still proof that that's unsafe. Where's the proof that that's unsafe? Why am I getting a ticket for this? So, trying to regulate hemp the same as alcohol, it's stupid. If you think you're in a state somewhere and you're a top person in a state somewhere and you think you need to regulate some of these hemp products specially, then start a division of cannabis. Okay? A division of cannabis. And then, bring in people that understand the industry and make as much money as you can in your state responsibly, if you feel like you need to be responsible for that. It is what it is. All right. And then, of course, we got old Mitch McConnell still going after Rand Paul. Calling him evil down in Kentucky because, Rand he's conscious of the modern hemp industry, where Mitch is living in this, 1937's hemp industry. He's trying to protect the kids. And again, that's all well and good. It just can't be bans. It cannot. Bans are not the solution. Prohibition doesn't work. We've proven that prohibition doesn't work. I don't understand why prohibition still exists. In all honesty, it doesn't keep anybody safer. It doesn't keep drugs out of the hands of anyone. And in fact, I think it makes it easier for kids to get drugs, no matter what, prohibited. Now, of course, age restrictions, then you got somebody going into the place that might be old enough to get you stuff. But I think it's easier for younger kids to honestly get prohibition stuff if they're prohibited. If it's all legal and on the up and up, they don't want it. I mean, cannabis use has gone down in kids since it's become legal. Nicotine use has gone up because nicotine is now easier to ingest for kids in their flavored vapes. And again, I'm not derailing nicotine itself. But, in these states where now they've made vapes illegal, all of them, nicotine or not, you're really telling the kids, well, go smoke a cigarette. That is 100% unhealthy. But that's what you do when you can't make a store. If no stores can sell vapes, now you've created a black market vape industry. They're going to go online. Kids are going to go online, or whoever's going to go online, buy their stuff from a state and have it shipped to them. And so, it's not the way to do it. Here's a good one. All right. Okay. So a couple of cops are sitting in court and they smell what they say is marijuana. The person that's in court with the cannabis says, no, it's hemp. And the cops tell the judge, well, we can tell the difference in the smell. Well, challenge accepted. Okay. I want any cop that believes he can tell the difference between a THC bud and a CBD bud. I'll lay 4 buds on the table, and I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been using cannabis. I can put 4 buds on the table, and you will not know. You will not know which one's cannabis, which one's marijuana. Smell, especially by the smell. You might even be able to tell, maybe by the look, but not even then. Not even then. Okay? And so that is just 100% ridiculous. 100% just ridiculous. But, cops, come on. You show me that cop and then we'll do test him genetically because he's a super cop. Got a super nose or something because I don't even think a dog.
RoboCop.
A dog isn't going to be able to distinguish one from the other by smell. And so if a dog can't do it, there ain't no way a human's doing it. So good luck with that. So some studies out of the UK show strong results for anti-aging effects of CBD and THC, and this was in animal tests. And again, it had kind of mixed results in humans. And the mixed results were more like there are some things that CBD and THC do that show anti-aging benefits in humans, and then there are some that don't show on different aspects or levels of however they judge that. And again, what does anti-aging mean? I hate that term, to be honest with you. It makes zero sense, okay? Because you cannot anti-age. You cannot stop aging. All right? I don't know what the proper term is, but anti-aging is really, and again, it's all a marketing term. That's why you see it all the time with lotions and creams and all these things. And of course, hemp oil, most more than likely, is anti-aging by what they say, because it's great for the skin, great for the hair, it's great for the body internally, externally. CBD, same thing. The cream that we have with our CBD cream that we have, I don't want to put a guarantee on anything, but I would almost believe that it would in fact remove wrinkles, because wrinkles are caused by inflammation, and CBD is a known anti-inflammatory to our customers. That's one of the reasons why they use it. I'm not making a medical claim. That's our customers telling us that. So, I don't know what we got to do to get hemp officially on the anti-aging list, but it should be. And then there's also a new study, and I've reported on this before from other studies, that CBD may have beneficial properties for those living with type 1 diabetes. It increased the insulin production and reduced insulin resistance. It also lowered cholesterol and fat levels. All right, and that's just CBD. We know that hemp seed oil, is, I believe, cholesterol free. Pretty sure. I've seen that. It's heart healthy. I think that's one reason why it's heart healthy. And so, you know, you get your CBD hemp oil tincture, and you're doing yourself a good thing. I do see, and I do believe probably, you know, I don't know if it's going through trials right now, but it would not surprise me if one of the next drugs that's um, approved by the FDA is a hemp CBD, or at least CBD, possibly diabetes drug. Um, so, you know, does it need to be a drug? No. You know, I'm sure there's, you know, most, I think people with type 1 can probably track that. Get yourself some CBD, start using it, track your insulin numbers or whatnot, see if it makes it go down. See, you know, I mean, that's something you can test on your own, I'm sure, because you actually have a connection to that digitally, or most people do, or maybe they still prick their fingers. Either way. And so I think you could definitely, and again, I think that, you know, I don't think that there's, and again, not a doctor. Talk to your doctor about this, honestly. If you're on any type of medicine for type 1 diabetes, see if a doctor thinks that CBD would make a difference. I think that because everybody tracks their numbers and does their stuff when they need to, that you could easily just use the CBD to see if it does what you want it to, and then, you know, obviously use your medicines if it doesn't. Again, not a doctor. This is just my opinion. Go talk to your doctor about CBD and type 1 diabetes. He's not going to know much, if anything, but you definitely want to discuss it with him at least, and do that research online. And don't do, I always say this, if you're going to do research on CBD or THC or whatever, go from an independent company that's not trying to sell you something. Go get the knowledge from places that have done studies or have reference to research, but don't get that information. I don't give that information on my website. I wouldn't put that information out there on my website for people to trust. You know, go to the medical websites, go to the research, the CBD research sites and whatnot, and see what you can come up with. But, you know, do not take the word of any CBD manufacturer. I'm not saying they're all, you know, I mean, the good ones are the good ones, the bad ones are the bad ones, and you can't really tell the difference. And so, you know, it's definitely a what we call buyer beware situation, and that's the way it should be. You know, CBD is something you want to be educated on if you think that it can benefit you in any way. Now we can definitely educate you on it, because we have. I think I figured it out. At least, like, I don't know. It's over 15 years of selling CBD, of me learning and having CBD in the stores way before it was legal to grow here in the United States. So, Busker Company has purchased 50% of Terramare. This is out in California, which is a green startup. Okay. And what they're working on is hemp plastic that is biodegradable. And they do have a product already called Turbo 1000. And it's Terbo 1000. And again, there is no doubt in my mind that in the next 10 years, there will be a minimum of petroleum-based plastics and a maximum of hemp-based plastics. It is only inevitable for this to go this way, because everybody knows plastic is terrible. All right, you know, it might have been the wonder product back in the 70s, back in the 80s. You know, in the 90s, I think we started to learn. Now we are seeing the results of how environmentally friendly plastic is to both the earth and humans, as we have found nanoplastics on the top of the tallest mountains and at the bottom of the deepest seas. There's nothing like seeing a plastic bag stuck in a tree somewhere, but watching one go across the bottom of the ocean is even more disgusting. It's even more disgusting to see. And again, that's not nanoplastics. That's just that stuff. The nanoplastics are everywhere, including, don't forget, in our bloodstreams. They have found nanoplastics in the human bloodstream. All right. Well, that's got to be good for cancer. It's not great for humans, but it's got to be good for cancer. Anyway, we could replace 60 to 70% of the plastic in the world with hemp composite. And I would guess that out of those, 75 to 80% of them would be biodegradable. Probably 20 to 30% of those could be compostable, which is just the amount of time in which it breaks down. Compostable is really quick, 60, 90 days. Biodegradable is 6 months, a year to be considered biodegradable. And so, I mean, that all that plastic we've chucked into the landfill is still going to be there in 100 years, most more than likely. And again, leaching those nanoplastics into the ground. The dryers and synthetic clothing is how it gets airborne a lot. A lot of that gets into the air when you wash your synthetic clothing. Technically plastic, or a form. and so, it's not good for the planet. Okay, well, let's talk hempcrete. It is, I definitely believe that. Well, I don't believe, I have seen in the last 10 years or so, since I have added hempcrete as a major part of my educational speech, I have seen more people interested in knowing about hempcrete, and it's taken off. It is becoming a decent industry. I think last week we showed the chart. 2023 or 24 was over 500 million worldwide, globally. Okay, here's how it breaks down right now into who's using it. The major use is in residential. Again, which you have seen here on the High Noon Hemp Show. A lot of residential builds with hempcrete. And there you've got single family, multifamily, even affordable housing projects. And then, of course, even renovations. We've seen quite a bit of renovations. In the UK and Europe, you tend to see a lot more renovation use of hempcrete. In the United States, we're still seeing a lot of just builds. We're not seeing a whole lot of renovation because guess what? It's just kind of the way it's worked out. And of course, hempcrete has been around in Europe for 600 years. Go back to the bridge in France. It's been on the planet. It's been used by humanity for at least 1,000 years that we have documented archaeologically. So, and then the next is the commercial. Office buildings, retail spaces, educational facilities, healthcare facilities. And we've seen a lot of those. They don't even have hotels on there, but the tallest building, hempcrete building that we have shown on the High Noon Hemp Show was the 12-story hempcrete building in Australia, which is, I believe, well done, and you can probably go stay in. It's a hotel. There's been a lot of like 5, 6-story buildings in France that I've shown Um, and so educational facilities. Just recently, there was a school in I think it was Africa or somewhere, maybe Australia. I keep I report on so many hempcrete and hemp buildings. Sometimes I forget where they are, but it was a school that they were building and using hempcrete. And again, I mean, it's flame retardant, uh, carbon. I don't know how to, it sucks up carbon when more than trees when you're growing it, and then it sequesters it, and then it continues to sequester it. So it's great for the carbon issue that we have. Either way, and healthcare facilities, all of them, every one that you're thinking about building with concrete should be made with hempcrete. Because guess what? Just like the material, hempcrete is antimicrobial, antibacterial, all the good antis. The first house built in the United States from hempcrete was built by a family who had investigated and researched the cleanest building form out there for their highly sensitive child, and they concluded that hempcrete was it. That's in Asheville. That's over 25 years old at this point, at least 20. So, and now you can rent a hempcrete house on Airbnb if it's still available in Asheville as well. And I think there were some other hempcrete places out there to do. Then the next is the industrial. It's definitely hitting industrial later. Manufacturing facilities, warehouses and distribution centers, agricultural buildings, specialty in industrial applications. They didn't brag about it, so I don't think they used it, but it sure would have been cool if the new hempwood plant that I just showed, if that concrete floor would have been made out of hempcrete. But, we can't do load bearing, and I don't know about, we've seen hempcrete floors. I have seen where people have done hempcrete floors. And so I don't, it is being done one way or another. And then you've got infrastructure projects, public buildings, community centers, transportation infrastructure. Once again, I reference France because there was a community center that we've shown on the show over there, that's over there, that was used hempcrete blocks. I'll talk more about those in a minute. And so, that's where the potential market is. And again, you can pick any of those. You want to start a business, pick any one of those categories and go to town, honestly, because there's not enough in any of them to even come close to competing with what people are doing now, which means we need more people doing it. So when you look at the application, okay, what can we use hempcrete for specifically? Well, basically, it's everything that's except for load bearing. You just can't have load bearing. So you've got the residential applications, the commercial applications, the industrial applications, and any of those buildings, as long as you're not using it as load bearing. You build the frame, you spray it in, you pour it in. I don't know how you could use hemp block in that way, but again, you got all the insulation systems, because technically that is how it's described when you use it, like when you spray it in the walls, because it's not load bearing. It's technically described as insulation. You got thermal insulation, you have acoustic insulation. I've talked about both on the show. You've got roofing and flooring. Okay, we've seen hempcrete roofs sprayed in, again, for the insulation properties, flooring systems as well that have been existing or have been used. So apparently you can do the flooring that way. And then you've got precast blocks and panels. And we've shown everything from like brick size to cinder block size to even bigger than cinder block. One company is building what we would call, we'll call them Hagos, not Legos, but it's basically Each block has little knobs on it, so you can stack them. To add structural integrity, and then to corner in, you can corner in the blocks with something like that. And then we're in modular construction. So prefabrication. There is a company that's doing prefab hempcrete building. So they're building the walls basically in their facility, just like all prefab houses. Most houses are actually prefab now. They build the walls and all the components somewhere else, and then they truck them in on the back of a truck and they put it together. Bip, 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 bip. And that's the same way hempcrete prefab is working. Build the hempcrete walls, the roofs, whatever you want to make. You take it all, you put it in. You still have to frame it. It's still got to be in a frame because you can't do load bearing, but that's all right. That's how the frames are built. New prefab frames are built anyway. And so, there's a company out there that's doing that. And so, again, prefabricated hempcrete houses would be huge. And you could probably do that in any state you're in. Because once again, most houses are prefabricated. And then you've got your cast in, just like I said, which is basically spraying it in and filling the space. And then we have seen an attempt at 3D printing a house that did not succeed. There was some cracking, I believe, that happened. So structurally, it did not hold up. So again, that is technology that we have to work on. I reported a couple years ago about a university that had supposedly come up with a load-bearing formula for hempcrete, but we have not seen that come to market. Obviously, with the 3D printing, there's structural issues there. But hopefully they're not gonna stop trying and see if they can figure out the right formula to make it work. 3D printing houses is also, futuristic. But, to think you're going to, I don't want you to 3D print it in concrete because concrete's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible industry for the planet at this point, and we don't need it. For the most part, we can, I think, do a great job of getting it out of here, and then bringing in the hempcrete, figuring out the hempcrete thing. They know, the concrete industry knows that it's going to run out of sand, and it's going to run out of sand relatively soon, 30, 40 years, from my understanding. Because right now they have to dredge or mine for the proper sand for concrete. The different kinds of hempcrete. So lime-based is the most used right now. And you've got hydraulic lime, aerial lime, and I guess modified lime formulations there. That is the most popular form of using hempcrete. And that's the closest, I think, formula or way to get a formula close to the consistency that you get from concrete. And then you've got different cement-based binders you can use. Portland cement, blended cement systems, low carbon cement if you want to, which, to me seems counterintuitive probably, because you're still using some bad stuff, I think, with that. Although, I like the idea of low carbon. I don't know what that really means all in all, but and then apparently, there's some alternative binders, alkali activated, Cenosphere, Genopolymer, and mycelium. Now, I know about mycelium. That's about the only one that I really do know about. And again, that is some future, especially, I think, with the future of prefab, because when you make something out of mycelium and hemp, you use the hemp as the base and you grow the mycelium into the shape that you want it. So, to me, if they're making prefab hempcrete walls, there would be zero reason not to make prefab mycelium hemp walls. Now, I think the challenge there is that is definitely biodegradable, because, we've already seen this. The first person in the United States was actually buried just recently in a mycelium hemp coffin, which will eventually biodegrade and go, everything will go back to nature as intended. It's supposed to. So, but we've also seen, for the record, hemp mycelium buoys that for the water. So, that makes me believe that the biodegradability is longer, or there's a formulation there that is somewhat waterproof. Or maybe I don't know. They didn't say how long they would last, and it may be something that buoys now are made out of stuff that would probably last a lifetime. But once again, that those nanoparticles, whatever they're made into, are going into the water system. I mean, the fish go up and eat the moss that grows on the bottom of the buoys, and so they're getting whatever that material is. That can't be good for the local fish in the long run. And so, mycelium hemp, the hempcrete is really blowing up, but we're really going to see, because we've seen everything from acoustic paneling, mycelium hemp, lights like structures, mycelium hemp, coffins, buoys, furniture, all kinds of things being made from mycelium hemp, or hemp mycelium, however you want to put it. Helmets, safety bike helmets. You've seen that. And structurally, they are supposed to be, I'm not going to buy I don't think anybody should make a bike helmet that isn't safe to begin with. But I do believe when I was reporting on it that they were tested to be to take the fall, so to speak. So the future of hemp mycelium products is once again endless. It's endless. You can start a hemp mycelium business and figure out what you want to make, and you'll probably be one of the only ones, and that's the future. It's the future. There is no doubt in my mind about that. And so, get to it, people. Some of the big names. Let's see. Let me go back here real quick. Again, we have to look at the challenges. In there, the biggest one is availability of what we call the hurd, which is that part of the hemp stalk and the little chips that's mixed in with the lime and the water and makes the hempcrete. And so, that's why we need to be growing more and more hemp. And everybody that grows hemp needs to realize that no matter what you're growing it for, if you're growing it for the fiber, you can still get that hurd in the walls of a house or some animal bedding. If you're growing for the flower, you still have the fiber and the hurd in that stock that can go into viable markets. And so, not that anybody, again, technically, if you use the stalk of a marijuana plant, the hurd from a marijuana plant, it would technically be illegal. Now, once you get that hurd into the usable little pieces, there's zero way. Those cops could not tell by the smell which one came from marijuana and which one came from hemp. There would be no way. And they would both do the same thing. And so, it's a illegal byproduct of the marijuana industry that should be used legally. It should be. And then it's not waste, which is normally what it is. Like in the food industry, a lot of time in the grain industry, that stalk is just waste. That stalk can build a house. That stalk can make your clothing. That stalk can do many, many things. And it is at the least not waste at all. And again, because of the lack of availability, costs are a little higher. We need, and that's true on every hemp industry out there right now. Hemp grain will come down uh, a lot in price. Fiber will come down a lot in price. Herd will come down a lot in price the more we're growing it. This is economics at its finest. That's the way economics work, honestly. And then, the other challenge is lack of contractor experience. And that's why there are so many hempcrete workshops going on these days. I'll talk about that here later in just a minute when I'm talking about the events. But, that's what if you're a contractor and you work with concrete and you consider yourself to at least want to be an environmentalist, then take some classes on hempcrete. It's not really, if you're already used to concrete, it really shouldn't be that difficult. I think a lot of these workshops, to be honest with you, are more for people that want to get into the industry because they don't know how to make concrete, hempcrete, cement, any of those things. So they just need to be taught how to do it and shown how to do it and whatnot, and learn the applications and the different forms that you can use it in. I think if you're used to using concrete cinder blocks, well, then a hemp cinder block's not going to really be any different. If you're used to pouring in concrete and not using it as load bearing, there's very little difference. I think it's really just teaching the contractors the fact that, hey, it's not load bearing, and then you just here's the frame in way and there's and whatnot. So, but the education is part of it. I can only educate you guys so much as far as what to do, but there's plenty of places out there that can teach you how to do it. Again, the opportunities are freaking endless. It's an endless opportunity. All hemp industries are endless right now. And hempcrete, I think, is definitely one of the sustainable and longevity and viability and economically feasible. And, it's not just about the environment. Of course, you want to make money. You want to be, and so that's where the hempcrete is the future. So many different ways to get involved with it, and it is all still so very brand new. The first modern hemp house was built in France in the late 80s. But the real industry has really just been going for 10, 15, 20 years, and we're still very, very much in the infancy of what you can do with hempcrete. And so hopefully you can take at least part of this and get out there and start yourself. I don't think there are. Now there could be. We could definitely mold. Again, I say that, and I will go and see if anybody is making one yet. But there would be definitely a way to do a hemp plastic, a hemp composite bong. There's no doubt in my mind that, again, that because we can mold it or we can 3D print it. So it can be injection molded. All you need is that same mold that you would make a plastic bong in, probably, and make a hemp plastic bong. And so if there isn't, yes, that would be badass. And if I find one, trust me, I will be adding one of those to my hemp collection, the largest hemp collection on the planet, unrecognized by the Guinness Book of World Records.
They don't care.
That's one of the records I hold, is the largest amount of hemp goods, so to speak. Like I carried this little thing. This is just one thing that's a hemp thing. My hemp back, all the things. I have a lot. So yes, a hemp water pipe bong would be super, super cool. No doubt about it. I think that you could do it, because then you could definitely make the stem. You could use a glass stem, and so the heat would never be touching that hemp plastic. But there's no doubt in my mind that yes, you can, and yes, they should exist, because you could do multiple color. You could do any color you wanted. Honestly, I have seen a clear hemp plastic, like a water bottle clear. So you technically might be able to even make a clear one. And once again, should be biodegradable at the very least when you're done with it. So there you go, right there, world. There's another hemp product that the world needs. The world wants. The fans are clamoring.
That's right.
For a hemp bong. Let's get it done, world. Add it to the list.
What are you doing, world?
I'd recommend a 12-inch, an 18, and a 24. The three most popular sizes of plastic bongs back in the day. And then if you want to get nuts and make a 6-footer, do it.
Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts with the hemp bong. I'm all about it. And so, would be cool. And again, as I kind of touched on, the reason, just the main reasons what's driving, the whole hempcrete thing, is the earth friendliness part of it, the carbon part, the human friendliness of it, the energy efficiency of the insulation. So you're saving money yourself, and you don't have to run the air conditioner as much in the summer or have the heat as high in the winter, because hempcrete makes a great insulation. It's a proven fact. And so, it is the future of building. If I'm sitting in the back of a limo talking to the most powerful construction person on the planet, I don't know who that is. They're all pretty rich, and he's probably still in the mafia. I'm going to say to him,
Maybe.
I've got one word for you. Hempcrete. Anyway, I do want to recut that scene from the old movie and make Dustin Hoffman. I think it was Dustin Hoffman. I want him to say, I've got one word for you. Hemp plastic. Even though that's 2 words. I'm just going to change it. So that's what it is. Anyway, I've never actually seen the movie. Famous quote. All right. Well, let's talk about some events, and we'll get everybody on their way here today on this fine High Noon Hemp Show Wednesday. So the Hemp Maze in Minnesota, it is open. I've been talking about it for a while. And to add to that, they have added a 15-hole Disc golf course. So you can go play 15 holes of disc golf in a hemp field. I mean, I really want to take my hemp discs, because yes, I do have a set of hemp discs. Here's the information. I have 6. I have 2 putters, 2 drivers, and 2 mid-range discs made out of hemp composite. And so, how cool would that be to go play 15 rounds in a hemp field? I'll be dressed in hemp, throwing hemp, inside hemp, What a perfect world. The
That's it.
things that exist are great. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make a trip up to Minnesota. I can't because I work a lot. September 16th through the 18th, that's coming up. Cornell University's hemp building workshop will be going on at their Agritech Center in Geneva, New York. That's Cornell University. September 18th through the 20th, you've got the Rocky Mountain Natural Building Conference in Bozeman, Montana. And I do know that there's going to be a decent focus on hemp building materials, whether it's hempcrete or hemp fiber insulation or hemp wood. Hopefully it'll be all those things. Then hemp October 3rd through the 5th. This is the one that if you're a contractor or you want to be interested, this is the one to get to. It's the Hemp Building Symposium being put on by the Lower Sioux Indian community. And again, the speakers that they're bringing in are unbelievable. And what the Lower Sioux are doing is not unbelievable anymore because they've done it for the second year in a row. Grown the hemp, processed the hemp, built with the hemp. No better way. I think that it's, I don't think there's much education on the source of most construction goods. They don't tell the guy pouring the cement, that the sand is running out. They don't talk about those things. I think knowing about, where those construction materials came from, what they're about, and the benefits and, anything bad about them is key. Especially if you're a contractor. If you're an independently contractor, then the knowledge of what you're offering your customers is just as important as your knowledge on how to apply that to whatever project it may be. If you want to put in hemp flooring, learning, knowing that it's grown and it doesn't take any herbicides or pesticides and this and that and all the other, that's important to me. I think it would be important to your business because the more you know about your products, the easier it is for you to do your job. Pure and simple. I don't care what you're doing. That's just business advice from me to you. That's why I'm still 30 years later continuing to learn about hemp. I've had a hemp store for 30 years. And I am not about to stop learning about hemp. And that's why I'm here educating you on hemp, because I am also learning always, as much as I can, about the greatest plant on the entire earth. And it's still accepting all debates. Anybody wants to debate me on that subject, I will do. We can do it here on the show if you want.
That's right.
If you want to debate me on a better plant for humans than hemp, let's do it. It won't take long. And then October 10th through the 12th, you got the Hemp Renaissance Rebuilding Main Street in Princeton, Illinois. So there's a lot of this is the fall tends to be the time when we start to see a lot of the hempcrete because it's coming out of the fields, it's getting made into that herd, it's getting out to be used. And again, it's a year round thing. People are building with hempcrete year round, and there is no lack of need for herd. And so, once again, I speak to all the farmers out there, or the processors, I should say. If you process for fiber, then of course you've got that herd, and you'd be silly not to sell that to somebody for something, whether it's animal bedding or hempcrete or whatever. And so, make it happen. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching today's show. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having hemptations.
See you all next week.